Yo, don't forget to support WrestleTalk. And don't forget to give us a subscribe. Do that now. Bianca.
Support WrestleTalk!
Could we be getting Randy Orton versus Tommaso Ciampa at SummerSlam this year or thereabouts? I am Luke Owen, and this week on the WrestleTalk Podcast Magazine show, I'm joined by former Quizzlemania champion and a Queen of the Ring. It's Alex!
Hi, hello. 2 Quizzlemania champions on the show.
It is. This might be the biggest WrestleTalk podcast episode we've had to date. For those of you, viewers who might not know who you are, Alex, why don't you tell the fine people who you are?
Yes, I'm Alex. I go by Queen of the Ring. I have a YouTube channel, Queen of the Ring. I do a lot of reviews. When we were able to travel before the pandemic, I would travel to huge wrestling weekends and vlog there. I was on Wrestling with Regret, doing SmackDown reviews there. And I have an Instagram, Twitter. You can follow me all on there. And that's pretty much it.
And great you are at that as well. But yes, so to dive into our big talking point for this week. So this comes from our own Louis Dangor over at WrestleTalk.com. Randy Orton. So after NXT TakeOver in Your House, Randy Orton was on social media with the whole leg slap thing, which then Tommaso Ciampa took issue with, and they had like a bit of back and forth. Mm-hmm. Well, according to WrestleTalk sources, Randy is quite keen on then working with someone in NXT and turning this into a storyline for TV. Mm-hmm. So one of the proposed matches apparently for SummerSlam at the moment is Randy Orton versus Tommaso Ciampa, which, I mean, sounds great, right? Like that sounds like a wicked match if we could get it.
It does sound good. Tommaso Ciampa, when he first came out with like no music, he did remind me of the Legend Killer, like early on Randy Orton. So I think it is a good matchup. I'm curious to see how they would go about it. If SummerSlam would be a good chance for them to get this feud going, because it seems like SummerSlam is almost like the dream match pay-per-view, especially last year when we saw Charlotte versus Trish Stratus, which was a huge match. So I'm very excited to see. I hope that they pull it off with Tommaso Ciampa and Randy Orton, because they would have really good chemistry, especially with the promos.
That's it. Yeah, I think the promo work between the two would be some of the best parts of this. So apparently one of the things is because Ciampa rejected the full-time roster move. Like, they offered him to go to the main roster. He had no interest in doing it, predominantly because he didn't really want to do the main roster schedule of constantly touring and constantly working. He was very happy just to stay in NXT and, going by a lot of the main roster call-ups. Probably a smart move on Tommy Champ's part. But with everything being at the PC at the moment, this works out well for Ciampa. He doesn't have to do the main roster show. He can be on Raw and he doesn't actually have to move anywhere. Like, he can just do everything at the Performance Center. So this could be like, but apparently from what we've been told, no decision has been made as to whether this feud will be on Raw or it will be on NXT. Or it'll be on both. Like, at the moment, it's very much as it like, this is what Randy Orton is pitching to do. He wants to work with someone from NXT. Ciampa is the name that's been put forward. The other name is Adam Cole as another potential SummerSlam matchup for him. Both of which I'm like massively into. I think more the Ciampa side of things. I think because, as you say, the promo work. Mm-hmm. But like, if you use this as your way to call up the Undisputed Era to the main roster, I'm also really for that.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to put up the Undisputed Era in the main roster. I mean, that is also an exciting matchup, Adam Cole with Randy Orton. Even those promos would be good, and the in-ring work would be fantastic. And it's exciting because, unfortunately, due to the pandemic and they're forced to perform in the PC Center, it's almost a blessing in disguise, because we do get these dream matches like what we got earlier with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, and they can go back and forth with Raw and NXT. I would hope that Tommaso Ciampa and Randy Orton is Raw, because like you said, Tommaso Ciampa didn't want to do with the schedule for Raw touring, and now he can actually finally appear on Raw and have this fantastic feud with Randy Orton and stay comfortably at home at the PC. But it's interesting because I've heard a good amount of NXT talent don't want to move up to the roster. Yeah. So and I think everyone could agree that whenever they do move up to the main roster, it's hit or miss. And most of the time it's a miss. So it's interesting to hear that these performers don't want to go up to the main roster, but they do want to put in the work and try to, put on great matches. And I think that is what I always looked forward to watching when I used to watch live, when they did the Performance Center, was to see like who was going to be the mix up, like seeing Bianca Belair move up. That was exciting. But then we thought that she would go for the title right away, and she didn't, which was fine. I almost thought that for SummerSlam, they would have Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair, and Bianca would finally go after the NXT title. It would be they already have a great story to tell. They faced off at the Royal Rumble. Charlotte eliminated Bianca, and then Charlotte intervened with Bianca versus Rhea Ripley at the last live takeover. So it's matchups like that where, especially with these NXT talent, where they've appeared in the Royal Rumble and Survivor Series, there is a lot of story to tell with both talents on each roster. It's just hopefully they could execute it well.
I wonder with the Bianca thing, because I can see what you're saying with that, and I definitely could have seen that being a possibility. But like the Charlotte NXT run felt very prematurely. Like it didn't really feel like she put over anyone on the way out.
Yeah.
And I think like because of the Becky pregnancy, like they essentially had to cancel all of their Becky plans that they had and cancel all of their Charlotte plans that they had in NXT, took the title off of her and just moved her back to Raw. But now Charlotte's taking time off as well. But I wonder if like had Becky not announced her pregnancy and left, that they would have gone that way with Charlotte. Because I mean, I've been saying on this show, like I've always figured the main goal with Charlotte in NXT was to eventually put over Rhea Ripley at Mania next year.
Yeah, I thought that with Charlotte going to NXT, she would keep the title for a while and just try to put over as much talent as possible. Because there's a lot of women that are fantastic in NXT, who we haven't really seen shine as bright as others. I think Io Shirai having the title is fantastic. For me, I just wish it would have been at a different time, because I did like seeing Charlotte with the NXT title, and it would have been exciting to have her come out every single Wednesday and just do an open challenge and just demolish the whole roster. As much as people would hate to see that, because I know a lot of people don't like Charlotte going over and having so many opportunities, but she's Charlotte Flair. She's like, no one can touch her in that whole roster. And so that's why I was excited for her to take the title from Rhea, because I was like, okay, well now we're going to see more opportunities for these NXT women. And it seems a bit stuck for me a little bit. And that's why I was excited when Charlotte won the title, because I thought that she would continue her feud with Bianca. Now Bianca seems a little stuck in the roster. And
where is she?
Yeah, I don't know. They have her teamed up with Street Profits, and it was good for a while, but she absolutely does not need them, and they don't need her either. So I think it's just another one of those moves where it's like, oh, these two are married, let's just put them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really gutted about that as well. Like when she came up after Mania, I was like, yes, brilliant. Like what a brilliant time to bring up Bianca Belair. And then, yeah, she's like, I think she's probably had matches on Main Event, but that's about it. Because the other thing I actually did want to talk to you about to have on this show, now that Charlotte is taking time off, WWE is in a position at the moment where for the last couple of years they pushed Ronda to the moon. They built the entire women's division around Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte. You know, they had the Main Event last year. Now all three of them are gone. And I think we're really feeling the effect of them building the division around those three now that they're gone, where no one really feels like a star in the main roster women's division. I think Bayley and Banks are doing incredible work over on SmackDown. But on Raw, like it's Asuka's the champion, but she doesn't really feel like much of a champion at the moment because they're not giving her big definitive wins.
Mhm.
She drew with Nia at Backlash and then only beat her because of a referee fast count. And she only beat Charlotte because Charlotte got injured. And so it doesn't really feel like they're putting a lot of behind her. Like, who could be the breakout star for Raw? Like, should we be building this division around other than Asuka, obviously?
I think it should be Bianca. I think she's proven that she's widely popular, very, very talented. It almost seems like when they put the title and the Money in the Bank win on Asuka, it was just a safe choice because they knew that everyone loves Asuka no matter what. She will always, she's a worker. She's always going to put her 100% into it. But you're right. It doesn't feel like Asuka is that grand supreme champion that we should be really paying attention. And she's not getting these huge victories. It's just like, oh, well, of course she won. She's Asuka. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I agree with you where Bayley and Sasha are doing a fantastic job on SmackDown, an absolutely fantastic job. But you're right, where it's like they build up Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda as these huge, huge hitters in the entire women's division because they were going after the Raw and SmackDown title last year. So it's the entire women's division, and it was these three. And congratulations to them for main eventing WrestleMania, the first women's main event. Fantastic. But then after that, they really dropped the ball because even after when Becky won, there was really no one for Becky. And everyone was hoping that Sasha would come back. And then she did, and she came back, and then she moved to SmackDown. But then she teamed up with Bayley, and they do have fantastic chemistry together. And Bayley as a heel is my favorite. She's so much better as a heel than she was as a face ever on the main roster, at least. I mean, when she was in NXT, fantastic baby face. But now that she's on the main roster, this heel run is just, they just work so well together. And Bayley's not as annoying, but she is annoying.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And so and that's also the thing where during the Royal Rumble, Naomi had big eyes on her, such mainstream attention on her because she came out with her natural hair, and no one's ever really seen that in wrestling. And there were so many people that saw her and that saw themselves in her, and there was such a opportunity to capitalize on Naomi, and they dropped the ball. And WWE is a company that would sell their souls just for a little bit of mainstream attention. And they got it. They got it with that clip alone. That clip of Naomi coming into the ring got it's up to 10 million views right now or something on Twitter, at least. I don't know about the YouTube channel, but it's gotten a lot of attention. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, that's cool. They didn't do anything. They could have, I understand if they didn't want to have Naomi win that night because they had Charlotte, fine, they had plans with her, but they could have done something with Bayley and Naomi with the SmackDown title. She was in the middle of it when it was Bayley and Lacey Evans and Sasha and Naomi, and they could have done something great with Naomi and have her win at WrestleMania. You already have the mainstream eyes on her, and for weeks people were tuning in just to watch Naomi, and they completely dropped the ball with her.
Yeah.
And that's someone that they should have, I think that they should build the division around, because you have the mainstream eyes, you have so many little girls and little boys and any age, doesn't matter. It ranges where people relate to her, and they could have built something really huge with Naomi, and they just didn't. And I think we all know why.
Yeah, when she came back at the Rumble, like when we did our live stream reaction, I couldn't stop. I just kept like, God, she looks so rad. She looks so awesome.
She looks so good. Her hair just like flowing, running. And then just when she jumped over and then, oh my God, she looked amazing. She looked so good. And not only that, but she is a fantastic performer. And she has proven time and time again that she is absolutely underrated and nothing.
I was actually quite stunned when she was champion on SmackDown. that she wasn't champion for longer because she had the belt with like the glowing stuff on it.
Mhm.
And you're like, WWE will sell their soul for some mainstream appeal. They'll also sell their soul for anything they can sell as a toy. Like I was like, well, there's a toy right there. Like that is the most toyetic belt.
Right? Perfect toy. And yet they never made it. They never made a replica. And yet, but with the Fiend belt, they charged what, $4,000 for that? Where I don't know who actually bought that belt, but I'm pretty sure there would have been a ton of people if they came out with a SmackDown Glow belt. If you charge what, usually replica belts are like $500. If you up it a little bit more to $800, a lot of people would have bought that belt.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse.
Speaking of sort of people lacking stars, or this company lacking stars, lastly on the Tommaso Ciampa Randy Orton match, which could potentially happen at SummerSlam. We're not saying for sure that it is. It's just that from what our sources have said, Randy is pitching for this match. But at the end of the day, this is a Vince McMahon call, and Raw is lacking in heels. Dolph is getting this shot at Extreme Rules because Jinder is out there. That is essentially what it boils down to. Mm-hmm. So we're getting Dolph versus Drew, but Dolph does not feel like a main event heel. In fairness, neither does Jinder at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So the only top level heel they've got is Randy Orton. So if Vince is looking at his big SummerSlam match and it's Drew as champion, I could 100% see them being like, look, I know you want to do the NXT thing with Cole or Ciampa, but I need you to be my top level heel and face Drew for the big match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I see that, but I also would love to see them make Kevin Owens a heel because he's fantastic as a heel. And I think it is beyond time for him to get a title shot. I've been pitching for a while for Kevin Owens to come back as a heel, and he didn't, and he had that little thing with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, which was a good match, but I think Kevin Owens deserves a little bit more than that. But you're right. It could change up where Randy Orton, he's the only heel in the roster, and they could just be like, you know what? Go after Drew McIntyre. We can possibly do Randy versus Tommaso Survivor Series and maybe build up something where it's a Raw versus NXT again, which hopefully they do that for Survivor Series because that was a really good idea where they brought the NXT crew in for that pay-per-view. I'm sure it
really helped with the ratings as well.
Yeah. It opened up the ratings, and I'm sure it was just like I'm sure maybe they didn't want to plan that out because when they were all stuck after, what was it, the Crown Jewel, and there was that SmackDown. Yeah. And that was a very, very successful SmackDown. And I think that's how they were like, oh, okay, let's just scrap whatever we had in the first place and bring these NXT folks in. So maybe you can build something there with Survivor Series. I mean, I don't know. I think it's just time that we just start building up some heels. There's a good amount of time. It's barely July, and so SummerSlam will be in August. If you do it well, you can build up a new heel. I would volunteer Kevin Owens for that.
Yeah, I think Owens is a good shot. Like, I really like him as a babyface, but to be honest, after the big win, he got 2 wins at WrestleMania. He beat Seth Rollins twice.
That's true.
And his reward for that was to not really be on TV. I know he got injured in that, but Seth Rollins, who lost twice at WrestleMania, went into a WWE Championship program. So, you're right. You may as well just turn him heel at this point. You may as well, if you're not going to do him with anything as a babyface, just turn him heel and have him go against Drew.
And I don't think Kevin Owens ever worked out as a babyface. To me, at least, he never worked out as a babyface. He was always much better as a heel. I enjoyed his work in with promos and in the ring as a heel. So I don't know. I mean, Randy Orton he's an excellent heel. He is an excellent heel. He's been a heel for a very long time. He's been very trustworthy in the company to have these grand matches and make it feel like a big match, especially against Drew McIntyre. It could work, but I would much rather see Randy Orton versus Tommaso Ciampa at SummerSlam. So fingers crossed that he gets it.
Right, well, let's dive into our Patreon mailbag. If you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you got to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers on Patreon at any dollar amount and leave a comment in the community section labeled mailbag. Do not email me. I will lose it. I'm very bad at my job. Right. So last week we didn't do a WrestleTalk podcast for obvious reasons. The Speaking Out movement was way more important than us doing this podcast, and it felt almost trivial to be doing a podcast talking about. So we didn't do an episode last week, so we have got an overflow of mailbag questions. You're in luck. I picked out some of the best ones from the previous week, as well as the new ones we've got this week. So here is the mailbag. Mr. Juicebox, I've been thinking about if AEW will ever go live against Raw or SmackDown, starting another ratings war. My question is, do you think will happen eventually? And if so, can they beat WWE in the ratings? I'd probably say no. This point, like TNA. Bearing in mind, TNA were getting 1 million consistently, 1 million viewers every single week. They could put on the best show ever, 1 million viewers. They could put on the worst show ever, 1 million viewers. They had a 1 million viewer audience. As soon as they went to Monday nights and went against Raw, that audience just chipped away and never really came back. So, yeah, I sometimes Raw has just got a consistent audience that I don't think you're ever going to take away from.
Yeah, and how long has Raw been on air? Where like they've been on air for so long. They have they're up to 2,000 episodes now. Like I get the nostalgia of people wanting AEW versus WWE purely with main roster versus main roster, but it's just like we did it in the 90s. We saw how that worked out. WWE won, and I'm not saying that WWE would win against AEW, but it's just like they're doing their respectful things of just AEW is on Wednesdays. They have their own, it's very different compared to Raw and SmackDown. And I think comparing the viewership that night, sure, but I just don't think it would work out. I wouldn't personally would want to see it. I think they're fine on Wednesday nights.
Dwayne the Gronk Johnson, having done media for A-Level, I'm a massive fan of camera work and production. I've been watching some Riptide Wrestling on YouTube, and their camera work and lighting is fantastic. It makes every single match look like a movie. This made me want to ask you guys, are there any particular wrestling moments or matches that you've seen where you've absolutely loved the camera work or style of production? The Riptide are doing the Pac match he had with Cara Noir. Like the way that it's so nice to see. Yeah,
and that venue too, where what was the venue? I saw on IWTV. It was Big Swole versus I forget who the other woman is. It was a good match, but that venue where they performed, like the lighting in there and the camera work, and it works so well in that intimate venue. I agree that at the camera work, whatever they're doing in Riptide, they're doing it well, and they should not fix it. But I would say when growing up, WrestleMania 10, that overhead shot when it was Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon with that ladder match, that shot I've always loved. And then they got that shot back when they did the greatest match ever for Backlash, which was Edge versus Randy Orton. And when they brought that back for that match, it's something about that angle, that camera angle, that I just love. And I wish they played around with a little bit more with WWE.
I was going to say, I'm no Kevin Dunn supporter. I think his crash zoom style of filming is unwatchable at times. Makes me feel a bit ill. I don't even get motion sickness, but it almost makes me feel ill. But I do think at times he can pull out some real gems, particularly when it's something happens in the ring that the audience sees first that you don't see at home. I also think NXT do it really well with Keith Lee, like his Godzilla rising from the sea, just being like, I'm going to do this now. And then Keith Lee's like, Nello. And then I think they do that really, really nicely. Liam Tier says, hey guys, hope you're doing well and staying safe. What do you think about the Undertaker's Last Ride documentary on the network?
Okay.
I haven't finished it yet. I haven't watched the last 2 episodes yet. Okay,
I finished it. I'll try not to spoil anything for you. I thought it was very interesting the way. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but obviously, well, at the end, it seems like he's retired.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, I was talking to my friend about this, and he was like, I don't think I liked the way it ended and the way that he retired. And I kind of broke it down to him, and I was like, look, he is the oldest gimmick in the business, and he's gone on for this long. And I think it's perfect where you retire the oldest gimmick in the most modern way with a documentary this way.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And even in the beginning, they started off at WrestleMania 33 and that classic match where he left all his stuff in the middle of the ring, and we thought that was the end. And I think this was a therapeutic experience for him to film this documentary, to accept that his time is up. And I think that filming this, I think if he didn't film this, he wouldn't really come to terms with his retirement. Having the opportunity to talk about the beginning of his career in this way with WWE, where he's comfortable to talk about it, you know, in the way that he did. And just, I enjoyed it. I liked it. And also, I think it's funny how it's, at the end of the day, it's just a love story between Undertaker and Vince McMahon.
I mean, I watched the first part of it with my wife, who's not a wrestling fan, and her review just was, "I can't watch any more of this. It's too sad." She goes, I can't watch this old man continue to beat himself up because he can't go anymore."
Yeah,
it was too sad for her to watch.
Yeah, there were some moments where I was like, I don't know if I could watch this. And there were other moments where he was in the ring with Michelle McCool and working out with her and running the ropes. And it was the way that we saw for that Edge 24 documentary when he was running the ropes. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, you never see like wrestlers to that, you know, degree running the ropes that way or training in the ring. And to see Undertaker do it was just like fully pulling back the curtain, in my opinion. So it was exciting.
The bit that blew my mind, there were two bits that really blew my mind of the 3 episodes I've watched. One was him training, was it Primo that he was training with? Or was it Primo or Epico?
Yeah.
I was like, I never would have guessed that. Like, if you'd have given me 100 guesses, I never would have got to Primo for a training partner. And the other one, because it blew like 13-year-old Luke's mind, was that backstage shot of Kane without his mask on in 1998. I was like, what? Like, 13-year-old was like, that's what I've always wanted to see. What does Kane look like under the mask?
And we finally got to see it. Thanks to his brother.
Jobber JJ. Okay, picture this. You're in a horror movie, and the scene is you're running down a never-ending tunnel, and you have 3 wrestlers to choose from that's chasing you and slowly catching up with a weapon. Which wrestler are you choosing? Scott Steiner with an axe, Brock Lesnar with a car door, or Minoru Suzuki with a chair? Have a nice day.
I would take Minoru Suzuki with a chair.
Yeah. I think I mean, they're all going to do some damage, but yeah, Suzuki seems like the most shame. Yeah,
you might as well get it from the ultimate murder grandpa, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Chris, my question is, are wrestling fans too sensitive? Take the Jeff Hardy storyline, for example. It's highly controversial and a hot topic, but if this was a Hollywood film or soap opera, no one would care. Why is wrestling held to a different standard? Now, I'd say that the difference there is that, like, if you do a film about someone who's dealing with an alcohol addiction, you don't tend to, I mean, sometimes you will cast someone who's got an alcohol addiction because they can tap into that as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the Jeff thing, it's just because it's so soon after like his very, very public things. And like to say that wrestling fans are too sensitive, that would also say that Matt Hardy is too sensitive about it as well, because he doesn't think it's a great idea either. Like, addiction is no laughing matter. And I think to turn it into a wrestling storyline almost feels a bit trivial.
And I think with television and movies, it doesn't blend into reality as much as wrestling does, where there is that borderline of, is this real or is this fake? And the same with TV and movies. It's just like, Jeff Hardy actually recently went through this. So I don't know. I don't think wrestling fans are that sensitive. I just think that we are very much aware that of the borderline of real and fake. And I think it crossed it.
Owen, hi Luke and Alex. I just got into Final Fantasy VII and realized that Kenny Omega's One-Winged Angel is a reference to Sephiroth. Really random question, but has Kenny ever done a cosplay as Sephiroth before? And do you think anyone in WWE will ever copy the One-Winged Angel as a finisher? I don't know if he has ever done the Seth Rollins. He's done lots of I mean, he's done a lot of bad cosplay over the years. I will die on this hill that his Terminator entrance at Wrestle Kingdom was rubbish. I will die on that hill because it looked pants.
I liked it. I liked how hokey it looked. So
yes,
that's
hokey
just
is the right word.
It looked hokey. It did, but I liked it. I don't know if he's cosplay. I'm not too familiar with Final Fantasy. I'm not too sure if he has cosplayed that character but for anyone in WWE who would take that finishing move, I would like to see, maybe it's just me, but I would like to see a woman take that move, and maybe like Io Shirai.
Oh, yeah. That's good. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been on record saying this before. I'm not the biggest fan of One Winged Angel as a finisher anyway, because I think it's too cumbersome to set up. So yeah, I think it's, yeah. Then again, I would have said, 15 years ago, no one's ever going to take the Styles Clash as a finisher. And then, Michelle McCool did it. And do you know what? That was fine. I remember at the time being angry about it, because I was like, no one does that move but AJ Styles. But now in my 30s, enjoying it doesn't really matter. Apiram says, I hope you guys are doing well. Pete and Andy have a segment on the SmackDown podcast called Snack Clash, where people email in about weird foods they love but others find disgusting. For example, Andy loves salt and vinegar crisps with milk. Do you guys have any sort of disgusting snack?
No,
I mean, there's nothing more disgusting than salt and vinegar crisps and milk. Like that is.
And milk?
Yeah.
Oh, that's... Oh my God, his poor breath. No, I don't have anything. I don't think I do.
No. Like I like raisins as a snack that my wife thinks is weird, but I think raisins are a lovely little snack. A little thing after dinner.
Yeah, I like oatmeal raisin cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't feel bad about it. Yeah.
We're normal. We've got normal taste buds.
Aaron Keating, hey lads, hope you're doing well. As many of you people have gone through various lockdown activities, quizzes, breaking your own bread, mandated walks, I'm now looking at starting a podcast with my partner. Yes, I'm being that guy. In taking on this endeavor, I want to ask you about microphones and editing software. What do you guys use? And where's a good place for a fledgling podcast to post episodes? Look up Spotify. I can't remember what it is now, but Spotify have got their own platform. So I'd recommend loading it to there because it's free. There's a lot of free platforms that are available, but some of them have upload limits and things like that. I think Spotify's is unlimited. So that's the one I would certainly recommend. We're on Acast, but that's and that's why we get adverts on the show, but they also take a cut of the money. And in terms of mics, this is a Rode, which is very, very nice. It's not that expensive either. And I edit using Audition. Anything else? What do you use? What microphone do you use?
Well, I'm using the Blue Yeti microphone. This is what I use usually when I do podcasts or streaming like this. I use, if you are interested in doing a video podcast, I use Canon cameras. I have a T7i Rebel camera that I got on Amazon, and it was a bundle pack, and it was only $800 with a bunch of mics and backdrops. If you're interested, I know that is nothing with podcasts, but in terms of videos, I edit on iMovie.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, sooner or later I'll upgrade to Adobe or Final Cut, but right now I'm very comfortable with my iMovie.
Magnetic Field. Hey guys, my question is the old school Bray reveal on the 19th of June SmackDown episode. Are you guys excited to see old school Bray back? And would you like to see him added in to become the new three faces of Foley? Feel like he plays the multiple personalities better than Matt Hardy does in AEW. That's just my opinion. I was surprised by it. I'll give you that much.
I was surprised by it. And you know what? Before you finish that question, my answer was strict no. But once it was brought up that he could do the three faces of Foley, but with Bray Wyatt, I could see that. I could see that. So I think I changed my answer to yes. I think I am excited if they're going to play it off like that.
Also, it delays that Braun Fiend match, and it's a smart way of delaying the match as well.
Yeah.
Chris Gardner, quick question here. Combine 2 or more gimmick matches into one match. What's the best one you can make? I think it would be great to see a tag team Iron Man tables match. Whoever puts their opponents through the most tables in an hour wins. This always reminds me. So back in like 2000, my friend Graham kept saying to me like every couple of weeks or so, it's like, I don't know why they don't do Hell in a Cell ladder matches. Like it's the most, it's like, that's the one I want to see. I want to see a Hell in a Cell match with a ladder match. So you're even higher. And I was like, yeah, why not make it an Inferno match as well? And he's like, yep, brilliant. Like that's the way to do it.
Or maybe you could do like a hair Inferno match where at the end you just burn the person's hair off.
Jesus. Crikey. Dylan from Cork, if you could have a top wrestler in a major company have a run at the top of another major promotion, who would you pick? For me, the 2 that springs to mind are Daniel Bryan to have a run in New Japan and Tanahashi to have a run in WWE. It'd be fantastic to see Daniel Bryan tear it up with the likes of Okada, Zack Sabre Jr. and Ibushi, and WWE to give Tana the same treatment they've given to someone like AJ Styles. I think he'd have some ace matches, pun very much intended.
I'd love to see Charlotte in like Stardom.
Right? Yes! That's way better than any answer I've got.
Done. Next question.
God damn, that's a good answer. I didn't even. Yeah, that's such a good answer.
Right? That's it. We're done.
We're done. I'm moving on. Callum, I went through some fantasy booking today, and it was if Brock Lesnar was in a faction with Paul Heyman as the talker, but I had to think who I wanted in that faction. So I've got Shelton Benjamin because of the tag team they had, Dominik Dijakovic, and Cesaro. Who else do you think would be good for that faction? And do you think Paul Heyman will ever have a Paul Heyman girl?
The Paul Heyman girl should have been Ronda Rousey.
Yes.
They dropped the ball with that one. I purely think that when Ronda was coming in, she should have been a Heyman girl. She should have been off that mic, have Heyman talk for her. I mean, she was the Brock Lesnar of the women's division, and they completely ignored it. I think she should have been the Paul Heyman girl. But if we were to add anyone to that faction, I'm not too sure. Who would you think?
I don't know, because like it's quite a beefy faction, especially with Dijakovic and Cesaro in there. I mean, the only thing I could think of is bringing back Chris Hero just so you can reunite the Kings of Wrestling with Heyman there. But I think that would be a lot of fun. Like for me, the thing with Heyman is that it's only ever really worked with 2 people. It's worked with CM Punk and it's worked with Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got those 2, but then you've also got Ryback, didn't work there. Curtis Axel didn't work there. Big Show didn't work there.
Cesaro, didn't work there.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think like Brock, like Heyman's got to be put with someone very specific, which is why like I think you're right. Ronda would have been a really good shout, and you know that's what they wanted to do. The pair of them were pitching for them to be a partnership, but Vince was like, no, Ronda, you smile. You smile and the world smiles with you. She was so much better when she turned heel. Flaming Clive, you guys said in your latest WrestleTalk After Dark recording that you've been fans of wrestling since you were kids. Yet every time you guys mention something from your childhood wrestling-wise, it never really seems to go beyond 2000. There were some really good, amazing matches in WCW at the time, but people only remember the terrible things that happened. Feuds such as DDP, Randy Savage, Flair, Steamboat, etc. I'm a tad older than you guys, maybe a year or 2, and I remember a lot of these feuds really well. My question is, why do you guys not talk about these matches and only talk about the terrible things from WCW? Because they're funnier. Like it's way funnier to talk about the bad moments of WCW. And like, yeah, other than that, like it never really comes up in conversation. But it always comes up as like, why was WCW bad in 2000? Oh, give me an hour because I can talk for a long old time.
Plus, I'm pretty sure every other podcast or platform is covering the good things about WCW. Why not cover the bad?
Megan says, hey, you consistent content creators. There's less of a question, more of a story. My boyfriend has been in hospital, non-coronavirus related, but this has meant that we've had to miss watching wrestling together. Because of his injuries, it's difficult to talk to him on the phone at times. We live together and enjoy watching wrestling, and it was something that we've come to love and have worked into our weekly routines. This evening, I found myself taking pristine notes on every AEW Dark match and segments, much like you guys do for your reviews, so I can still share one of our favorite things with him and lift his spirits. I felt like I was part of the team getting ready for a review video the next day. Thank you all at WrestleTalk for giving me the skills to accurately describe what I'm seeing and for helping me stay updated with wrestling so I can keep him updated as well. Your impact as creators reaches farther than you will know. Stay safe and stay safe and stay healthy. Support each other. Thank you so much, Megan. That's lovely.
That's such a lovely story.
Thank you very much. I hope your boyfriend's feeling better. Yeah, absolutely. Hope you feel better. And yeah, taking notes while watching wrestling is a fun way to watch wrestling.
Yeah.
My friend said that I was ruining it for him a little bit because I remember I watched the Royal Rumble 2018 with him and I was taking handwritten notes. Yeah. And he was like, "You're taking me out of the match, man," because I was like, I look over to see your reaction. You're like this. Shinsuke comes out.
Yeah, I remember watching the Royal Rumble with friends, and I didn't take notes, but I said my notes out loud. and at one point, my friend turned to me. They're like, "So what do you have to say about this?" I was like, I'm not taking notes at the moment right now because I don't know. It's weird because sometimes now watching wrestling, I'll take notes mentally and I'll think of stuff, and sometimes I'll say it out loud and I'm like, wait, I didn't mean to say it out loud. I didn't mean to share my opinion out loud. I hope that I'm not. It's almost like watching a movie with someone who knows every single line of the movie. That's how annoying I feel watching wrestling with other people.
Lorenzo Haynes, why do you guys always mention that you get frustrated with Charlotte being a face or a heel? What's wrong with her being a tweener? Personally, I think she's a heel and has always been a heel, but honestly, even if WWE did view her as a face, I just want to know why it's such a problem for you. I think it's because it's an inconsistent thing is what bugs me about it, is that she cuts heels as a promos, then she comes out for matches and you got Todd Phillips going like, "Oh, she's the hardest working woman. She's the greatest." I was like, it's an inconsistent thing is what winds me up about it. It was the same that I had with Alexa Bliss and Alexa Bliss actually in particular. Every single week she was a different character. She was a babyface one week, she was a heel the next week, she'd be a babyface in one segment and a heel in the next segment. And it's the inconsistency that wound me up with it. I think it's fine to be a tweener, but you've got to be a tweener. You can't treat them as both. You've got to treat them as a tweener.
Yeah. But that's the thing with them at WWE. They're just like, it seems like everyone's a tweener, unless you're just Randy Orton and you've been a heel your whole career. But it's just like, it's 1 week, someone I don't know, like Lacey Evans, for example. 1 week she's saving Naomi from Sasha Banks and Bailey, and then the next week she betrays Naomi or Dana Brooke, and it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I just wish there was a clear of this person is a babyface and that's what they're going to be for a little while. This person's a heel and that's what they're going to be for a while. Like the tweeners, it's just there's only a few amount of wrestlers that know how to do it very well. And I think that Charlotte does it very well.
Yeah, I think it's just the company doesn't really know how to present that anymore. I think that's maybe part of the problem. While you mentioned Sasha and Bailey, I forgot to say as well, I'm kind of rooting for Sasha to win at Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
I want to see Banks and Bailey have all the gold.
I do too. They would be great. They're like, someone said it, they're like the modern day DX.
Oh, that's okay.
Right? I won't take credit for that because I saw that on Twitter. Someone said that and I retweeted and I was like, I absolutely agree. But yeah, they're like, they should have all the belts. Why not?
Why not? Give them all the belts.
Yeah.
And our last question comes in from Matthew, who says, I know that everyone focuses on CM Punk returning, but what are your thoughts on AJ Lee returning? I was watching some old pay-per-views and forgot how good she was and how over she was. At the time, I don't think I really appreciated her talent because since those around her weren't up to the same level she was. It would be a huge pop for sure if she came back in front of a crowd and was able to go against Asuka or the Horsewomen. I'm wondering what your thoughts are and how you would bring AJ Lee back if it were up to you. Yeah, I mean, AJ is a victim of being the wrong place, the right place at the wrong time, or just the wrong place at the wrong time. Like if she'd have been an Impact, she would have been considered one of the greatest of all time because that was when Impact were treating women as wrestling as a serious thing. AJ just so happened to be in women's wrestling in WWE when they didn't care about it.
Right.
So it's like I've always said the same thing about Ivory. Ivory was in the WWF at the wrong time. She was a generation too early. If she was in now, we've been talking about like Ivory's the Ivory's wick,
Oh,
Ivory's
yeah.
this. But
The
she was
same.
in.
Yep. The same with Molly Holly. Even
Yeah.
I just have to put her in there because she's my
Absolutely.
girl.
Yeah. And
But-
I think AJ is just one of those things. She was it was the wrong time, like a couple of years later, and she would have been in the mix with all the right talents.
And that was the thing. It was just like 2 or 3 years later because she did appear. What was her last WrestleMania was against Paige, and she had that really good feud with Paige. And it was just like, if only she stayed a little bit longer, we would have had her versus Charlotte, her versus Sasha. I think with the way that they brought back Mickie James at NXT, I think they should do that with AJ Lee. And I think now that we have Io Shirai as champion, I would love to see that match against AJ Lee versus Io Shirai.
Yeah, do you know, I didn't think about that sort of thing, but yeah, that's really good actually. Yeah, like the big video announcement of just like the legend comes back. I think that's really cool because like my first thought was, we were just talking there about how Raw doesn't have like any top level stars in their women's division at the moment. What a perfect time for AJ to come back and assert herself in that division. And like, there is a spot open for her there. Yeah, like, I think it'd be a great time to bring her back. I always really liked AJ. Like, I hate her entrance music. I think her entrance music is the dirt worst. Genuinely terrible. I will die on that hill. But I'd love to see her come back. I really would.
Yeah, it's just like a matter of how. I think with NXT or Raw, because SmackDown, I think they're fine. I think they're fine with Sasha and Bayley. They don't need to add anybody else. But with Raw, she would be the huge name in the women's roster, and that's exactly what they need for Raw. But it just AJ Lee coming back just reminds me of Mickie James coming back, and I really enjoyed the way that she did come back, and I think that she should have stayed at NXT for a little while. So I also think if AJ Lee did come back, I think she would rather come back and bring other like these future stars up the way that Mickie James was supposed to do in NXT. So yeah.
Well, you had to get La Luchadora onto the main roster.
Yeah.
Well, that is all we've got time for on this edition of the WrestleTalk podcast. Alex, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find you?
Yes. Okay. You can find me on Instagram @_Queen of the Ring. On Twitter, I'm @Queen of the Ring with 2 G's at the end. And on YouTube, I am just Queen of the Ring on there. You could search Queen of the Ring Wrestling, find me there, subscribe, do all that fun stuff.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for watching. Please click the videos that have appeared on screen right now to catch up with more awesome WrestleTalk things. Head on over and subscribe to Alex's channel as well. And we'll see you again soon. Take care. I've been Luke Owen. Love you. Bye.